Hello world, I'm Stacy DC, and the Bimbos are taking over the heavy music scene tonight and always. On the eve of her record release party, I am joined by viral sensation, Scene Queen, celebrating her new album, Bimbocore, out now via Hopeless Records. What is up, my queen?
Not much. Hearing viral sensation is a little bit wild, but I appreciate the big title. It goes with the Scene Queen name.
Absolutely. If you're a queen, you're a sensation.
Yeah,
I would
guess
say.
so.
I'm so excited to talk with you about this album, but I think first, because you have such an interesting story, let's go back in time a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about your fandom growing up, because I understand that your music style has really been influenced by your being a fan of the scene, emo culture, metalcore. So tell me about Lil Baby, Scene Queen, and how you got here.
So it's actually kind of funny. My music kind of parallels my entire life story from being in and out of the scene. Like all of my influences, or where I've worked in music, all made its way into this final project. But initially, I grew up in upstate New York, or I was born in upstate New York, and then moved to Ohio later on. But my sister was part of that early 2000s emo scene, so My Chem, all those bands coming out of New York and New Jersey. So from the time I was 7 or 8 years old, I was singing, brand new in bands like that at 8 years old out of the window of her, Sunflower, Pontiac or Sunfire or whatever car, so old. But yeah, so then I got into the scene super young. Then when I was in middle school and high school and started developing my own taste in music and not just hers, I got into the whole band Tumblr world. So I was really big into bands like Pierce the Veil, Sleeping with Sirens, all the pop punk bands like The Story So Far, all that sort of thing. And then with that, I was kind of into the pop scene-y bands. So the Ready Set, Cobra Starship, Millionaires, all those sort of bands. And then once I was in college, so in about 2015, I moved out here to LA, and I realized it was around the time that all these bands started having allegations and things coming out. So at that time, I felt like the scene wasn't really a place for women. So I actually pulled back from the scene kind of altogether around 2015. And then my first few years out in LA, I was working in the pop and hip hop and Latin world as a songwriter. I didn't initially want to be a songwriter. I came out here to do what I thought was going to be either being a tour manager or something in the administrative side of music, which is funny because when I was in college, I applied a million times to work for Hopeless Records as an intern. They rejected me 3 or 4 times, never got an email back. So when that happened, I kind of thought about everything, and I was I don't think I want to work in the business side of music. Switched over to the songwriting world, was in that for a minute. And then around 2019, I started telling people hey, I think I want to do this whole alt thing again and go back into that world. And everyone kept telling me no. And then lo and behold, 2019, 2020, Machine Gun Kelly was suddenly mainstream radio doing pop punk and stuff. And then everyone was oh, maybe this does have a thing. But by that point, I was kind of just over everyone telling me hey, you should be a songwriter. Hey, you should work in this side of the music industry. Hey, you shouldn't do this alt thing, that I was forget it. I'm going to be a solo artist and I'm going to do alt stuff. So then I released my debut song, Are You Tired, on TikTok, which I didn't even start TikTok to be an artist initially. I started TikTok because, I said, I had left the scene. So I was trying to find community of people that liked things similar to me. It was just making sort of weird, funny content about the scene or whatever. And then sure enough, I put out the music thing, and then because I had this little following and community, they blew up my first song. First few hours already had 1 million views, just because it was people being I didn't even know you made music or whatever, just being super supportive. And then that has kind of continued on my entire career since then, is I've made this little community of people that like the same content or alt stuff as me, and then they've just pushed and pushed and pushed my career up higher every single time I release something. So I didn't know that this would happen, but that's almost kind of the best way for it to happen, because I feel as soon as you stop trying so hard to do something, that's when you when things really start falling into place, and that's exactly how it's been for me. So
all the people who have made it say, you've said so many things that I want to talk to, including I want to talk about the highs and lows of TikTok.
Oh yeah.
But before that, you mentioned Hopeless Records and applying to them as sort of the other non-talent side of the music industry. And I love the idea that they were like, come back when you're talent, come back as a queen. Tell me all about how that felt to sign with them, because that must have been such an amazing
It's so funny
moment.
because it was so surreal for me, and still is, but I'm just one of those people where I have a very like weird sense of humor. So I went actually to lunch one time with the CFO of Hopeless Records, because at the time I thought I wanted to work in finance or something in a label. So I went to lunch with him, didn't get the internship, but still went to lunch with him, came back years later as scene queen, and then like my second single, Pink Bubblegum, I thought it would be funny. I'm like, let me take over this label that rejected me like 5 times. So I, had this total power move where
Gotcha, bitch.
Yeah, exactly. And it was totally, it was during the pandemic. So they hadn't been working in the office for like months and months and months. So there was one person in the office, and it was the CFO of Hopeless. So then I got to be like, hey, sorry, I'm disrupting your workday, but also like, look who's back. Like
I
the most
love
full
it.
circle thing. Yeah. And then, we took the record label captive and all of that sort of thing. So
I mean, that's true Bimbo Queen energy.
Yeah.
And I'm here for it. Now, obviously, TikTok has been a boon for your career. I mean, your following has really blown up your music, which is amazing. But there are the occasional walking jizz rag that like to hate. So tell me, what do you do to block the haters out?
I mean, it is kind of funny because I feel like I get more hate than the average person, which a large part of my artist project is being like, poking the bear a little bit. I'm not afraid to come out and be like, yeah, I'm the coolest thing in the entire world. But everyone knows the way I'm saying it is supposed to be like a not so serious, but people that don't understand, it's in the same line as, calling yourself a bimbo or whatever. Like, we don't really think we're unintelligent, but we know how you perceive us. And I think just being like super blonde and pink and whatever, that people kind of perceive me as being really full of myself and vain. So playing into that is honestly like, the people that get it think it's hilarious. The people that don't are so mad about it.
The girl's the girl,
And honestly, it gets easier to block out the hate, because the hate is like a massive amount of why my videos do well. Because like, if there weren't haters, there wouldn't be a million people coming in being like, hey, I actually like this. Calm down, guys. Like, it's not that serious. So
Yeah. Well, hey, take that as a lesson. Any Knotfest fans who are thinking about being mean to 2 blondes wearing pink, go right ahead, because we want those views.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
we love it, and we love you truly. I want to ask you about the irony behind being called an industry plant, because you have been very candid about your struggle with music, like your entire journey. You've been very open and honest about every single step. And so to me, it's almost a weird compliment, because it shows that not only it's respect that you have blown up so effectively and so quickly, but also that you have such a clarity of vision behind your art that it seems like, oh, only the big guys in Hollywood could be doing this. So tell me about that.
It's so funny because I think there's this really big misconception with indie labels. For whatever reason, people think my record label is like 5 million people driving my entire project. Hopeless Records is about like 7 people in the US and then a couple like people outside, like in the UK and stuff like that. But it's a very like small label. They have a lot of artists that are doing well, but it's very DIY there. So a lot of the pressure is on you as an artist to come up with your creative vision or whatever. It's funny. People think a lot of the time that I'm an industry plant because they saw my first single, which sounds a little bit different, but in fairness, it was my first song ever. I wasn't sure really like fully hashed out with the sound. I made that song thinking like, I want to be done with the pop world forever. I made the song 5 days later, was like, kind of missed the catchy hooks or whatever. So the sound shifted and like, it would have done that regardless. But I think people were confused because I came out the gate with all this branding and imagery and stuff. But what's funny is when I did my first interviews with like AP and stuff like that, just off my first single doing well, I said, I'm trying to do something crazy with the visuals. You're going to see what I mean soon. Because at the time, I literally couldn't even afford to make my own music video. So, like, I said I was going to do it. If people actually would have followed my career instead of, like, immediately getting mad about it, they would have seen that I literally said the entire time, like, oh, I'm going to do a lot of this pink stuff. And, you know, the doll that I used on my debut like single cover, I said like dolls are going to be a thing coming forward. And of course, like the Barbies and everything, the way it manifested, you know, is a lot more different now than like what I initially would have thought, just because I thought maybe I wanted to do the pastel pink thing, but then as soon as I started writing the songs, I'm like, no, Bimbo makes total sense, and that's already what people think I am, like, in the scene anyway, so I might as well play into it. And then as soon as I got the okay to do that, I turned it up to 110, and now it's the most.
Lean way into the archetype. That's what you gotta do. Let's talk, since you mentioned the music videos, and you've made a bunch of really cool ones so far. Something that I love the aesthetic, but what I love even more is that you make using an all-female set a priority when you can. So tell me a little bit about why that is so important to you.
Well, so it's awesome, and I'll talk a little bit about the first music videos first, but even when I don't get the opportunity to work with like a female director or whatever, like, you know, time crunch, finances, whatever caused it, or like I just like the director and he happens to be male, they always make it a priority. And this goes across like my whole team in general, like my management, my label, everything. They always make it a priority for me to have women on the set or whatever, to have their vision in it, because I think a lot of the time, if I was the only one on set saying this is what hyper femininity is, this is what like this is, I think it would make it appeal to a very narrow type of like woman. I think having a lot of women putting their, you know, vision behind it is what makes it so cool to like a lot more girls. Even if you're not the most like hyper femme or whatever, you don't love pink, I think you can see a little bit of yourself in it because we bring in so many women. So with my first like videos, when it was a male director, like for Pretty in Pink, like the house that we shot at was this artist in LA let us rent out the house. Same with Pink Rover, Kelly Eden, like artist in LA, let us use her house to rent it out. And then we have like set designers and stuff for Pink or Pretty in Pink and Pink Bubblegum. Both sets were like dressed by women. And then this last video for Pink Panther, I'm so excited about it just because we had a whole all-female cast. We had it, you know, shot by a woman, directed by a woman, edited by a woman, styled by a woman, hair and makeup by a woman, like full thing. And I think this most recent video was the first time where I'm like, okay, now I've gotten to see tangibly that enough girls have looked at my project in the past and known like enough about what I'm trying to do, but also were able to put their vision into it. I think it's kind of cool just seeing now that I've like hammered in enough of my own branding that people can come in right off the top and know exactly like where to go and what to do. And yeah, so it was really exciting, this last video. I feel like you can tell that it's shot for like the feminine gaze. It's very like, I don't know, I just love it. I think there's like a very special quality to it that I think a lot of people are picking up on. And plus just getting comments on the video that are like, this is the first time I've seen like girls in a shower video all looking fully comfortable. And I'm like,
yeah, that's what happens when women run a set.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. Okay, let's talk about Pink Panther, because this album so far, which came out just a couple days ago, and I'm so excited to hear about the feedback that you've gotten and what the reception has been like. You have songs that range from coming out as bisexual, which, I mean, hell yeah, and same, and getting catcalled on the street by slime lords. So tell me, for those who have heard your singles but have not had a chance to listen to the full album yet, get on it. What else can they expect in terms of theme?
I think my favorite song on the EP is actually not one of the singles. My favorite song is the last song on the EP, Pink Paper, because just the reasoning behind it is so simple, but also is just like the cherry on top of the whole EP. Because I wanted to say a lot of different things with the EP. Like Pink Panther is obviously not a very serious song. It's about getting girls or whatever, but I think it's a lot about finding the confidence in yourself or whatever and being comfortable in your sexuality and just like kind of brazenly saying, you know, this is how I am, whatever. But for Pink Paper, it's kind of just me saying, okay, this is who I am, I'm gonna be this, and I say my name about 400 times in it. Like the hook of the song is "That's Queen Shit," and I think it's just the perfect way to top off the entire thing, because if you go from top to bottom, like you'll get the full gist of what I'm trying to do. I feel like it's a very cohesive EP. I hope people get the same thing, and then, you know, end it by saying, hey, that's queen shit. Like,
yeah. Well, and it's
simplest thing
also something
possible.
that metal bands do all the time. Iron Maiden had a song called Iron Maiden where
Yeah.
they say Iron Maiden a bunch, and it's great every time. I love when bands do that.
Yeah.
It's sick. Let's get into a little bit of the bimboification, bimbo archetype, because it's so current right now as a sort of response to the I'm not like other girls wave of contemporary feminism that we dealt with like a decade ago.
Yeah.
So tell me why this archetype is so attractive to you, and what is a dang bimbo, queen?
So I think it's kind of cool because I think the bimboification movement kind of parallels how I felt with the alternative scene in general, especially coming up as an artist and stuff. I think there's this kind of strange thing where we do, or like what we do to female artists, and specifically in metal music, where to be considered as hard or as heavy as a man, you almost have to make yourself either A, more masculine, or B, they want you to be some sort of vixen or whatever, which I'm totally comfortable like being sexy or whatever, but it's one of those things where you're allowed to be feminine, but only if it appeals to the male gaze still. I feel like I don't dress in a way that appeals to men or like is for men at all. I feel like if I'm like running around with my boobs out, I'm also wearing like ostrich feathers, and like, do men really care that much about that? I don't think so. I think
They
it's for the
should.
girls, you know? So I think it's kind of cool, especially with the bimboification. I think it's women, you know, realizing that there's nothing wrong with being feminine, and there's also this inherent strength behind femininity. And then, you know, with me, the playing into people think I'm stupid also works with the playing into the people think I can't do this because I don't look like I would make metal music, you know? So I think it perfectly parallels like what I was trying to do anyway. And I think, you know, the easiest way to become a bimbo, even if you don't dress the exact way a traditional bimbo is just to be like the baddest version of yourself, the most bad bitch version of yourself, unapologetically yourself, and playing into kind of whatever people automatically think about you. I think playing into the stereotype almost takes away the power in people giving you that stereotype. So by playing into the like, oh yeah, I'm totally like a dumb bimbo or a blonde bimbo, like what else could people say to me? Nothing, you know?
Lean into the archetype, do whatever you want, and do it for yourself. That is the bimbo way. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, we just have a couple more minutes here, and so before we play a little game called Bimbo or Not Bimbo, I just want to ask you one of my favorite questions to ask artists who are emerging, which is, when you think of fans listening to this album, what are they doing? What are they driving? Are they partying with their friends? Are they rocking out alone? What are they going through? What are they doing?
I think the most exciting for me is I always also like kind of parallel my music with being in a sorority. I kind of want to make a community so close knit for my fans that it feels like if you buy a shirt, you signed yourself up for a sorority. Because people always joke sororities are like paying for your friends. Okay, well, you paid for the EP. You now have a bunch of friends that are all going to be as extra as you, because there's no way to enjoy this music if you're a chill person. It's a very like, you know, sort of community that likes my music.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of exciting just thinking people are going to jam out to my music alone in the car or whatever when they're going through stuff to be hyped, because I also write generally like high energy stuff. I don't have that many like sad songs. If I'm talking about a serious topic like in Pretty in Pink, I do it in a way that's still like high energy that you could listen to at any emotion that you're feeling that day. So I think it's kind of cool thinking that people can listen to it by themselves or whatever, but if you really come out to the shows, I guarantee you will make a friend here, because you will have so much to talk about and so much in common. So I'm so excited for this first show, just to kind of, you know, I may or may not be having a sorority initiation where people may or may not be making new friends. So it's exciting to see.
I think it's happening already outside in line, and the gals are dressed to the nines. Let me tell you. All right, we only got like a minute left, so you want to play Bimbo or Not Bimbo?
Of course I
Great.
do.
Here's how it's going to work. I'm going to read off a couple things. You tell me Bimbo or no Bimbo. Okay, ready?
Yes.
Okay, Brass Against Sophia Eurista bringing a fan on stage to consensually piss on their face while doing a Rage Against the Machine cover.
That is full bimbo.
Absolute Bimbo. Thank you very much. Her having to apologize for it.
Not Bimbo.
Not Bimbo. I agree. Corpse paint.
Bimbo.
It's makeup. It's makeup. Sorry, black metal fans. You're bimbos. Hair metal.
Bimbo.
Absolutely. 1000%.
The drama is all Bimbo.
The drama is all Bimbo. Okay, King Crimson's Robert Fripp and his wife Toya's YouTube channel, just for reference, here's a screen cap.
Bimbo.
Bimbo icon, frankly. What's else? Oh, buying merch at a show.
Fully Bimbo, and you should.
You gotta go shopping. Also, your merch is so sick. I gotta grab me a shirt.
I'm so excited because the entire lineup tonight has merch that all matches. Like, I'm so proud of all of us.
Okay, Kid Rock.
Not Bimbo.
No. Someone went,
Not with that intro. That yeah, not Bimbo.
Fantasy and power metal.
Bimbo.
The drama, again. Crowd surfing.
Absolutely Bimbo. There's a level of
Carry
pizzazz
me.
to that. Yeah, exactly.
Carry me. I'm just a little
Phase
baby.
into
Asking people to prove their knowledge of bands.
Not Bimbo.
No, sweeties. And then finally, guitars with more than one neck or extra strings.
That is super Bimbo.
It's basically like the tit job of guitars,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh, my queen, you've been such a delight to talk to. Congratulations on your opening party. I cannot wait to see what the vibe is like in here. It's gonna be lit.
This is truly one of the most exciting interviews I've ever had, is to be paralleled by another Bimbo. Like, couldn't have asked for a better.
We love to see it. Bimbos around the world unite. Shout it out in the comments if you're a bimbo little heavy metal beesh. And don't forget to listen to Bimbocore. It is out now, you dang stinkers. I'm Stacey DC. I'll see you later.
Bye.